in the bottom right here in the red. He is, of course, for Storm Gaming, the Danish sensation. Give it up for MAXPAX. And his illustrious opponent in the upper left in the blue. For Shopify Rebellion, he is Byun. Ooh, we got a little bit of a probe scout out here from MAXPAX in this game number 1. I don't know if he's a little bit worried about Byun's proxies or what, but certainly making sure that there's no proxy Reaper shenanigans, nothing like that, will grace the stage of our first map here of this best of 9. So, folks, as a reminder, this was Byun's map pick, which means it is on MAXPAX's server and vice versa. Welcome, KGR Alex. Glad you're here with us today. Hope you enjoy the games that we got. Because honestly, it's a banger. I know MAXPAX is not going to be in Katowice. Unfortunately, he did have to withdraw, but he certainly is Katowice level. And his PvT has definitely always been something that is interesting. Whether or not it is his best matchup, that's always a question, but you know, he created the MAXPAX build. He does have a solid understanding of the matchup and how to properly abuse it and twist it. Kind of reminiscent of Parting in that way. Which is, of course, rather exciting. Reaper going to find its way across the map now. Again, MAXPAX was worried that this was going to be proxied, and it's not. Just find its way in the natural, but ooh, look at this. We got Marauders on the way. It's going to be concussive shells, and this is something that that Gumiho has started doing over the last recent amount of time here. And we'll get two. Oh, yeah. He's going to get 2 Reapers or 2 probes in exchange. Not bad there for the Korean Terran. Oh, that's the wrong button. Well, folks, don't forget, Byun is playing, or MAXPAX is playing in this game. There we go. I blame not being properly awake yet, but don't worry. This is a banger of a series, and we absolutely will be able to stay awake here. So Byun is going to try to catch this Adept before it fully shades in, and actually that's going to force a full shade completion. Adept finds its way into the natural. There's no way that this SCV does go down, so Byun, he pretty much should be able to get a free Adept here. The 2 Marauders slow this down to all hell, and there's just a little bit. Oh no, it's going to get out. Never mind. So for now, the concussive shells has been revealed. The Adept gets out scot-free, actually taking less damage than if it had been a 3 or 4 Marines just kind of sitting there behind the mineral line. But behind this, 2 additional barracks. There's a factory on the way as well, Byun getting into his aggression behind this. And the Marauders are going to run across the map. Interesting. Half the time, when we see Gumiho do this, it's not about the aggression across the map. It really is to catch that first Adept, that first Stalker, whatever you want to call it, and kill that. Remove the map control from the Protoss player, make it difficult for them to get scouts off, make it so there's no pressure on your side of the map. Instead, Byun, okay, he runs across the map with the, okay, he will actually go high ground. I was going to say, you know, he runs across the map to get a probe, and that's not exactly worthwhile, but he will find a Stalker. Shield battery, though, is going to be nothing with a second Stalker. These Marauders are doomed to die, at least doomed to not get the kills that they are looking for. And that will be forced back for now. Adept on the other side of the map. We're going to take a look at that in a second, but for now, the Marauders get nothing done. The last second blink keeps the last Stalker alive. Nice target fire from Byun, but it's not going to be enough. So third base on the way, a little bit delayed. Whether that is worth the cost of concussive shells and the 2 Marauders at this time, I don't really know. But that is going to be the end of things. It's delayed third, a heavily damaged Stalker, and a heavily damaged Adept for the cost of 2 Marauders. It's something, but not exactly game-breaking. Hey, Papa Mitch. Thank you so much for the subscription. Glad you're here. Interesting. MAXPAX with a very small amount of Stalkers for his pressure. It's only going to be 4, which is, of course, enough to kill a single Marine, is enough to one-shot ASTV, but not much more than that. Generally, we see 7 Stalkers or something looking to delay the Terran player's push, but this is a very minimal setup here as MAXPAX getting into that third, getting his charge on the way, trying to go the ultimate green. So by having less stuff across the map now, it allows him to have more stuff later, as one would expect. It makes sense. And there we go. The Cyclone's going to get the lock on the Stalker, so it's going to force him back for now. And Byun, he's starting to push here just a little bit. At the very least, re-establish control of his high ground position. Make it more difficult for MAXPAX to do that annoying thing. And oh, he's going to siege the tank up too. So MAXPAX is going to eventually try to knock off a Marine, a Marauder, something like that. And ideally, the tank gets a nice, juicy shot on the Stalkers before that happens. But of course, well, the Adept does scout things. Actually, the Adept finds its way into the main. Gets a good scout off at the very least. Going to see where the tech of Byun is. And +1 is just about done. We have Stim done. We have Combat Shields done. That means Byun, he's getting ready to move across the map once medevacs are complete. Third base on the way as well. So at the end of the day, while this is an interesting opening, it's something that we don't see as often as we do see your kind of just standard Reaper into 3-1-1 type setup. It gets the Terran player in a similar spot at a similar time. Plus concussive shells, which does not always happen with that initial push. But Byun will spend his stim, which does mean he has to wait for, you know, the medevacs here. And there we go. Warp in the main, though. This is how you respond to a build such as this. You put 6 Zealots in the main base. You force Byun to return and say that timing that you've been looking for, Byun, it doesn't really matter. You don't get to do anything. I'm going to be able to deny some of your tech. I'm going to be able to deny some of your army. And I'll kill a couple workers, too, because that sounds like fun. Warp Prism's going to be able to get out of here scot-free, or not, actually. Oh, yeah, a little bit of a bad pathing there. Byun will be able to get the Warp Prism, shut down a lot of the pressure that on the map that his army, well, is going to suffer under. And that means that the next push is truly going to be able to get started here. Unless MAXPAX has something to say about it. Okay, Zealots on the north side will find the medevacs, which is nice. Actually, for both sides. we see the game of cat and mouse here. So MAXPAX runs up on the map. He says, yeah, I want to hit a run by here. I don't want to take this fight head on. It's a lot easier if I send 10 Zealots into your natural, into your third. That's a lot easier for me. It's going to force you back. So he scouts the medevac drop, which means that MAXPAX reacts to the medevac drop appropriately, puts his Stalkers behind the mineral line. But because the medevac size Zealots, Byun feels the need to rotate backwards in the middle of the map to make sure that the Zealots don't go and kill him. Which means that honestly, the Zealots accomplish what they're looking for anyways. Widowmine will knock some of these down, but again, he's just buying time, forcing Byun to stay back, buying time for MAXPAX to move into Colossus tech, get his +1 done, get additional Immortals, whatever he wants, really. But it's all about time and allows MAXPAX to get a 4th base as well. So now Byun looking to move forward here. The supply is not exactly in his favor anymore. Generally, when you're looking to hit this 3-1-1 timing, you wanted to do it a minute ago when the Terran is up 30 armies or 20 army supply. Not the situation now where Byun has his upgrades, sure, but so does MAXPAX. And MAXPAX has a lot of stuff. He's a solid defensive position, and he's going to set up a full surround here. Stalkers on the north side, knocking down the Widowmines before any fight happens in earnest. One Widowmine goes down. Second one stays alive for now. But again, MAXPAX is just playing this map like a fiddle, making it so gosh darn impossible for Byun to do what he's looking to do. And again, Byun looks like he wants to stim in now, but +1 is done. The force fields are going to be decent. Good, not great. And the Widowmine shot does a fairly decent job of knocking down some of the Zealots. But again, it's buying time. 2 Colossus on the way at any given time, +2 on the way. Extended Thermal Lance halfway done. We even got Hallucinated Archon for a little bit of additional value here. Army's going to move on forward. Tank goes down immediately. And that's really the important thing. With the tank going down, there's not a lot to bolster this attack from Byun. No solid siege line for him to run back to. Of course, means that, well, Stalkers are going to have to run back. They're going to have to blink back. And the 4th base is now situated. MAXPAX has his economy that he's looking for. And this means he has license to get aggressive. Now, Zealots are going to join in, but not yet. Not what you want to do. Yeah, it really does feel like the window for Byun's timing now has been missed just a little bit. I mean, just look at the supply. It is a Protoss player who's up 20 army supply. really for any normal Terran push, you're ideally hoping that you're going to be the one up about 20 army supply. It makes up for the the kind of the expensive disadvantage. But now, yeah, Zealots are going to get on top of this, and there are 4 Colossus in this army. Byun now, he is dropping a second starport, and he is getting +1 air, but he has 1 Viking. Sure, he's got Ghosts on the way. That's great. But the lack of Vikings here, it just provides MAXPAX this incredible window where Byun, yeah, sure, there's a nice position outside of the 3rd base where maybe he's going to be able to get a good concave. Oh, he's going to get a medevac too. But it's just, he can't fight right now. EMPs are going to land on top of the army, but MAXPAX says, this is my timing. 4 Colossus. They're not going to be good for forever, but they're going to be good enough for now. EMP is going to blank the army, though, make it so much more difficult for MAXPAX to take this fight. Even still, the Colossus, they are the important thing. Everything else is just chaff to defend the wheat. And now MAXPAX rolling on in, doing what he can. SCVs are going to have to be pulled to defend here. But the Colossus, they stand strong, all 4 of them. And what can you do, Byun, against the might of lasers and death? It looks like the answer is nothing. The 4 Colossus, they do remain here. Stark's blinking on forward. GG MAXPAX. He takes game numero uno. I have not had a chance to take a look at the new TLMC maps. I'm excited about it. Every time we get a new map pool, I get very excited. But not really sure. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I know one of them had a really weird Protoss wall when Steadfast was checking it out. Thank you, Haldy. I made it myself. Something you only get when it's a Beowulf cast on the Alpha X channel. And a bunch of other stuff. But as we see, of course, nothing too interesting yet. It's still early days of a PVT, which means, well, without a proxy, you're not going to see something too different. I wonder whether this probe is being a little bit cagey. Where's it going? Okay, it's just probably going to be for the rescale. Well, we're going to have to see. But for now, MAXPAX got his natural Byun as well. And I don't... Well, okay, yeah, we're going to see the Gumio build again. Interesting. I was about to talk about how I didn't feel like it got the value. I didn't think it was worth it, but Byun knows something that we don't, or he feels something that we don't, going for this Gumio build on such a big map. I mean, it's hardwired. It takes so long to run across the map. I don't really know how much that buys you, as the Reaper will find 1 probe in the exchange. Not that, I think it got 2 last game, but still knocking down a probe, cutting down the exponential growth of a Protoss economy in the early game is going to be worthwhile at the very least, and it will be Stargate play in this game. So that is actually going to be the big difference here. MAXPAX going for, at the very least, an Oracle, probably Phoenix, on such a big map. And, oh, really nice Reaper positioning, or Adept positioning, though. We'll get that Reaper. Denying much of the scouting for Byun on the map. And it will be Oracle first, of course, but I'm very curious to see whether he goes into Phoenix behind this. Against most Terran players, I do like Phoenix play a good bit. It keeps you safe against so much stuff. And yeah, there we go. Byun will catch the Adept this time. It's not going to be able, it's not going to be able to survive shade out. So that's just going to be free damage against the Terran, or against the Protoss player, less map control. But again, against most players, I really like Phoenix play. You know, it keeps you safe against Widowmine drops and Hellion drops and all manner of things that are not 3-racks play. Byun has been kind of doing this modified 3-rack, so I don't know whether I like it from Byun as much, or against Byun, as I'd like it against other players, but it doesn't look like he's going Phoenix play anyways. We see Twilight going down. This is going to be Oracle into Blink, and in fact, the Oracle's not even going to find a way across the map for a while, as the Marauders will find this 3rd base, knock down a pylon or something, but we don't quite have what we need just yet. And the Oracle is going to try to clean this up. Oracles, they do a lot of damage, glass cannons that they are, but... Well, it takes a while for them to kill a Marauder, as MAXPAX will get supply blocked by that pylon. The weirder the better. Yeah, man, the new time of any ladder pool where no one knows what's happening and you're just playing around and try to figure stuff out. It's such a great time. You just have so much less pressure to be good. It's why I think Legacy of the Void was my favorite. When Legacy of the Void just came out, was my favorite time as a StarCraft player. Maybe not as an esports person, but as a player, an entirely new way to play the game comes down. You're just messing around, and trying to figure out optimal ways to play. Nothing really matters because you're not expected to be good just yet. Or you're not expected to be as good as you were, I guess. Which is always a really fun time. MAXPAX running across the map here. His blink is getting close to being done. I'm curious to see what he's going to do with this Oracle because it has not found much value. Yeah, it knocked down Marauders. But that is just about it. So six Stalkers find their way across the map here. With the 2 Cyclones, though, not the easiest push to happen. I mean, it looks like he will be able to get there right as the bunker does complete, but that's a dead SCV. Stalker's going to run on forward, trying to do what they can. Knock down a Cyclone, maybe, but only... Okay, it's going to get 2 SCVs. Something. Not too much damage done on the Stalkers. 3 of them will be wounded, but that's about it. And behind this, again, we're seeing MAXPAX do the same thing he did in that game number 1. Charge on the way. 6 gateways on the way. And just wait for the push out from Byun. +1's just about done. Combat shields as well, which will round out the tech lab upgrades for the Terran. I mean, when these medevacs are finished, we should see Byun salvage the bunker, run across the map, hit with a lot of stuff. Or, okay, actually, no, he's just going to go for a big drop. Circumnavigate, or not circumnavigate, run around this pressure for MAXPAX. Although, is that a... I guess he found a hallucination. Really nice job there from the positioning there of MAXPAX, if that's the case. So that drop did not work out. Byun will not be able to say, yeah, you know, I'm just staying at home. Meanwhile, a drop forces MAXPAX back. But with the Stalkers on the high ground here, they will be able to do at least some damage to the Cyclones before being forced back. Byun not quite popping a stim just yet, saving his energy, saving his health, really, for this first big push into the natural. So we're going to have to see how well MAXPAX can hold out. Charge is done in 7 seconds, and that's the important thing. So many Zealots out on the map here, but they're not useful just yet. Charge is now complete as MAXPAX looking to take the fight here. But Byun micring gently backwards for now. Ideally, MAXPAX waits until Stim is done. Maybe he can force a second one and force this army to get even redder, as the Zealots on the other side of the map are going to knock down some of these reinforcements, but even still, Byun, we can see that he's a little bit more comfortable on this map. It's not his map pick, but it is his server pick. And that does allow him to do more. And the really interesting thing, actually, is we're seeing the gateway get warped in on the other side of the map. It feels like we've started to see, in all matchups, really, this meta towards proxy gateways for warp-ins instead of a warp prism half the time. And I'm not exactly sure what drives it one versus the other. But it is interesting to see, nonetheless, that we will have the army moving forward, trying to knock down, well, as many Widow Mines as they can, but will not be too successful in that endeavor. Zealots on the south side, they do get cleaned up. But this is actually something that we've started to see Zesta experiment with a little bit more. And by what I'm talking about, of course, is the early DT play. Have blink DTs as part of really just a big component of your main army in the charge lot style. Stalker's going to blink on forward. One medevac is not going to go down, so all 4 medevacs do stay alive. MAXPAX now, he's stuck on the low ground. Byun's found a way into the high ground. Are we going to see a recall? Not really sure, but for now, Byun, he stims to the natural. He says, hey, I didn't get much damage in game number 1, but I can certainly knock down a pylon. I can certainly get 10 probes. I can certainly boost on out of here. Some of the medevacs are low, but not the important ones. MAXPAX does not get any of that, and he takes tremendous damage, but he has a lot of Zealots on the other side of the map. That you do, Orsak. But again, you know, you don't have the maneuverability that a Warp Prism does offer, the ability to find your way into the main Zealots. You're going to try to take this fight. Widow Mine's only partially buried here, so maybe that's going to be worthwhile, but nice target fire from Byun will find maximal value. But of course, that's a lot of Zealots in the natural now. MAXPAX looking to counterpunch the punch that Byun hit him with. Looks like most of the medevacs did go down. Only 1 does remain here. Zealots, again, finding their way in the natural, but the rest of them were recalled? Yeah, the rest of them were recalled. Okay. MAXPAX has forced Byun back. Bought himself some more time. Not quite in the nice, wonderful economic position that he had in that last game. 4 bases, 73 workers. But he will be alive for now. And most importantly, Byun's going to find this gateway. He's going to find the warp-in position, which means that he will be able to eventually clean it up. And there's the other big down. Oh, he's going to cost 3 scans on the DT. That's 750 minerals right there. That is unfortunate. That is you don't want to be spending that much for that. But of course, missile turret in the mineral line does mean that this DT is not going to be quite as effective as it might otherwise be. He could make a Phoenix to unpin that, yes, but I think he just got it with Stalkers, actually. Well, I mean, you say that, but of course, the thing we look at is a Warp Prism allows you to warp in that number of Zealots in the main base to bypass the Terran defense in the natural in the third. Just buys a little bit more, and you're less likely to lose a Warp Prism unless the Terran has a lot of Vikings out. So this position will be cleaned up now. MAXPAX is going to lose the gateway, going to lose the pylon. And going to lose that aggressive position, but again, it's forcing Byun back. It's keeping him home. It allows MAXPAX to get this fourth base a little bit later in this game. He's not quite in as dominant position as he was in that last one. But still, fourth base on the way. Colossus on the way as well. Does he have extended thermal? No, not yet. Just getting started. The cheeky single Widowmine. Byun drops off, hoping that MAXPAX is not aware of it, so when he Maynards his probes over, well, causes the problem is now we got the main army pushing in. Byun setting up a three-pronged attack here. Widowmines, actually, I guess technically four. Widowmines into the natural, Widowmines into the main, into the third, and into this fourth base. As Byun now stimming on forward as well, looking to find some bits of value. Widowmine gets one kill, not all that much. And I think there's a DT active maybe in the natural or something, because SCVs are slowly dying. That's going to be a sacrificial medevac, certainly. Now we got to drop into the main base here. 4 medevacs. Actually, it's going to be only 3 because those Stalkers are somewhat in the position, but they're going to lose the rest of them. So MAXPAX forced to rotate into the main base now, keep what he can alive. There we go. There's another pickup into the dead airspace behind. And Byun's not going to lose too much here. He'll get 7 more probes. But he's not really able to break MAXPAX. Not able to do the damage that he's looking for. And the 4th Colossus soon hit the field. Nice EMP, though. Actually, this is a little bit scary. There is nothing really to defend the Colossus right now. If MAXPAX, or if Byun chooses to stim in, but the Ghost, he's going to lose one of them immediately. Just searching for those EMPs, hoping that he can soften this army up a whole lot more, knock out half their health in one fell swoop. So some Stalkers will go down. EMPs are going to be very nice, as of course we have the drop in behind the mineral line of the natural as well, cutting Byun apart, or cutting MAXPAX apart in one fell swoop, and now 5 medevacs in the main. Byun looking to flex that multitasking that he is so known for. Army in the third, army in the main, and it's all choked up here. So hard for MAXPAX to return. He does not have a recall anymore. +1 ground will be denied. So Byun, he's up 2 upgrades. He gets 8 more workers, and he backs off for now. Content in the damage that he has wrung out of his opponent, waiting for those 12 to 16 Vikings to hit the field. Byun has his 4th base. He's on no rush, so long as he does not suffer unduly from the DT pressure, which, as long as it's 1 Dark Templar at a time, he's not. Byun's in a wonderful spot in this game number 2. So now we stabilize just a little bit, Byun making sure that he gets his 4th base up properly. Also probably realizing that MAXPAX has been burned by the same move twice, so if he does it a 3rd time, it does start to become rather predictable, and something that MAXPAX will be prepared for is a lot of Stalkers are sitting here waiting for a big drop into the main. So I think actually we see Byun bring his army together and try to flank this army. I mean, the complexity of MAXPAX's army is massively increased now with the Disruptors and the Colossus as well. Vikings on the high ground are going to try to do what they can. Stalkers pulling out forward, removing them. But the Disruptor shots have been spent for a time. And now, okay, Byun just going to stim into the natural here. Says, well, if you're not going to let me drop in the main, that's fine. I'm just going to find my way into the natural. Knock down a couple gateways. Make sure that your production is not nearly as robust as it would like to be. EPs blanket this army. So the Stalkers no longer very easily were able to fight rather easily, and they will be eventually cleaned up. This army, with that medevacs, is not super strong, but not before killing every single Stalker that exists. It's still got a lot of damage, and Byun's going to rotate into the south side of this base, taking advantage of the Marauder's long range to just knock down whatever he can here. Scan on the high ground. does mean that we might see a Colossus go down, but the Vikings for now, they're getting zoned out. And with the rather paltry amount, it's only like 6 Vikings. It's not going to be able to kill the Colossus easily enough. Shield battery overcharge will keep it alive. 17 workers have died. And again, it's drips and drabs. Byun taking a spoon out of MAXPAX at a time, because it's really hard to kill a Protoss player straight up against 4 Colossus and 4 Disruptors and everything else that they have. But if you can keep their economy down, just find value here or there, eventually you will be able to crunch on through. Even as these Disruptors do make the push somewhat difficult. Shot 1 goes off. There are 2 that remain. That's a 3rd. And that, well, there's only 1 now. There we go. That should be the 4th, which is maybe giving Byun license to attack in, but no. Again, just going to rotate behind the mineral line as we do have DTs finding their way onto the rally here, blinking on top of everything. And yeah, there's detection, but you need more than detection. You need an army that can actually fight. So these DTs finding tremendous value here, cutting down some of the detection, cutting down some of the production, and Byun is going to be forced back home. This is Byun's map pick. Sure, he's been dominating the map for the last 5 minutes. Sure. But the supply tells a different tale now as the DT is finding so much value. EMPs get dropped, or scans get dropped, EMPs get dropped, but it doesn't really matter because the army is just not enough. GG. Invisible Men take the day. MAXPAX, he's up 2-0. In the upper left, in the red. He's up 2-0. Can he make it 3? He's for Sidestorm Gaming. MAXPAX. In the bottom right, in the blue, down to about to suffer from the build named after his opponent. He is for the Shopify Rebellion, Byun. We got a MAXPAX build coming out here. Have to see how much value it gets done. There was a time where Terran players were just kind of by default opening up with a command center on the high ground because it really wasn't worth dealing with the shenanigans of the MAXPAX build that happened like every other game. And getting your command center denied and having to get it rebuilt, it's just awkward and annoying. The Probe actually going to win that fight against the SCV too, so even worse. There we go, Zealot getting chronoed out. Most likely, 2 Zealots will get pooled. Cybercore finishes, you get a Stalker as well, delay the command center, and this probe actually doing a really good job of getting damage done on the SCV. So it should only be, I believe, 2 Zealot swipes maybe. It's 2 or 3 Zealot swipes right now to knock the SCV down instead of more. And Byun doesn't know what's happening because, well, Byun is rather famous in this matchup and actually in all matchups for scouting rather inconsistently. Doesn't really feel the need to do it. And that does mean that he can fall victim to things like this, but you got to also remember this is a concussive shell build. Once again, third time in a row. And with the Marauders out, once concussive shell is done, these Zealots are going to be paperweights. They're just never going to be able to connect with the army, which means that, yes, this command center is delayed, but it's already pretty much out. Concussive shell is done in 10 seconds with the Marine and the Marauder. Second Marauder is going to pop out rather soon. Life is difficult for MAXPAX. Now, the Stalker does complicate matters, at least for right now, but again, with double Marauder concussive shells being done, this is, again, not going to be nearly as effective as he would like. The Zealot's just trying to tank for the Stalkers to try to make sure that a Marauder does go down, but that is actually not going to be the case. So the Zealots die. Stalker will be able to escape, though. And here we are. Byun, he stays alive. He gets his command center at a much more reasonable time than he might otherwise be able to do with most standard Terran openers as he finds his way onto the high ground. Stalker's going for the flank, though. This is kind of cool, but a little bit ballsy. Because with 3 Marauders here, it does become complicated. The third Stalker will be able to get out in time, so that's a dead Marauder. There's going to be 2 dead Marauders here. MAXPAX looking for the flank. And will he be able to trade favorably here? It's going to be a second dead Stalker, but this Marauder should die as well. So at the end of the day, the Marauders are dead, which means the Marine should go down, but a 4th Marauder shows up. So, though, 2 Stalkers. At the end of the day, mostly a trade. MAXPAX not really able to delay the command center as much as he would wish, but he does get a couple Marauders. And that is something. Dropping 2 additional gateways behind this. which actually is not all that surprising because it effectively turns this into a 2-gate expand, assuming that he loses control over this position, which it looks likely that he will as the Marauders run forward. Stalkers don't have quite enough here, but Zealot warps in. And that means that this is going to be a dead Marauder. No, it's not. Not quite. MAXPAX, you tried, but it's not going to work out here. So we're going to see another Stalker warp in, already taking some damage, but there we go. Marauders go down, and we have, of course, the Warp Prism running across the map. It's effectively going to be a 3-gate, and this Marauder will go down, trade its life for a Stalker, but this is all about buying time. MAXPAX keeping this gateway alive, making sure that he has this reinforcement point, making sure that he has access to these 3 gateways. If you look at trades, it's slightly beyond favored. But the Warp Prisms across the map now, 3 gateways at a time, effectively 3-gate robo. And while the, Marauder will go down, not going to find its way into the bunker. 3 Stalkers, of course, it's a less scary time to be a Stalker. If you have access to that Warp Prism, keeps you alive, makes the Marauders less scary than they might otherwise be. So we got a Twilight Council down, but it looks like this is going to be straight into robo play for MAXPAX. Of course, eventually getting Blink in charge and all of these wonderful... Oh, okay, well, there we go. Now he's got money for Blink, so he's going to do that. Of course, on Byun's side of the map, in his base, as he is kind of pinned down here, he has 3 barracks, factory on the way, +1, stim, combat shields, all completing in the fullness of time. So that's 7:30 timing. We talk about it a lot. It's going to happen here rather soon. Well, eventually it's going to happen. I mean, that's how that works. But certainly for now, MAXPAX is going to be forced back here. The 4 Stalkers not quite finding what he wants. The Medevac or the Warp Prism giving him a little bit of pressure, but no real value. And MAXPAX now, he's going to get his 3rd base on the way rather soon when he can afford it. There we go. First Colossus on the way as well, although we are missing extended thermal lance. And this feels like the best game that, well, I don't know if it's quite fair to say the best game that Byun has had thus far, but certainly feels like maybe the most auspicious opener, the game where he has the highest potential to get significant damage done with this timing that he runs out across the map, again with +1, combat shields, medevacs, all that fun stuff. First Colossus is only just now popping out on the field, but does not have extended thermal lance. The Marauders can actually reach it with equal range, but if you get caught around the doodad, that's a free force field. MAXPAX going to be pretty happy about that one. Free damage indeed. Okay, so now the Observer will go down. Byun, one of those players that's really good at just seeing the little shimmer, sniping it down. And we'll remove so much vision from the main base of Byun, trying to figure out what exactly he's doing. We got to drop out on the map here. Stalkers, again, putting pressure on, but pressure does not a game win, necessarily. Although it can define the game. And Byun is really turtled up here. You got missile turrets. Well, I'm not going to say everywhere because it's only 2, but they're in really nice positions to dissuade the Warp Prism from doing whatever they want to do. Is we're going to see, of course, the double drop from Byun on the north side, and actually MAXPAX will not scout that with this pylon, even as he did set that up. So his army is not in position to deal with this, not necessarily. +1, of course, that's probably going to be the primary target for now, unless he just goes for probes, which is also 100% valid. We're going to see the Bio look to stim on in. And there we go. +1 will be denied. 4 Stalkers are all that get recalled. That's not exactly a lot. So Byun, even as he does lose the medevac, he's going to stim on 4. 13, 14 workers will go down. 2 Colossus on the high, or 2 Colossus from on high will find value. But now we know what that means. The army into the 3rd base. There's just not a whole lot here. Byun, again, his multitasking is reigning supreme in this game. 16 workers have died. He's going to knock down a couple Stalkers, but the Colossus arrives, so it's going to be forced back for right now. And knocking down +1, though, is massive. Byun has a 2 upgrade lead. And even as his 3rd base is only just now landing, even as he is equal on workers, being equal on workers is ahead on workers when we look at a TVP, although not quite as bad as it might otherwise be. Because, again, it is only 2 orbital, not 3, not yet. So only 2 scans. Prism now finding its way into the main base, although the missile turret gets enough damage that I guess the Warp Prism doesn't want to stay in there, stay alive. But actually, Colossus is taking this opportunity to take the fight on the high ground. The force fields are going to be rather nice indeed. So much of the bio is eating massive shots, but again, it's 1-1 versus 0-0. Colossus are a lot of damage to be sure, but they don't kill Marauders that quickly. And one Colossus will get stimmed upon, will go down. MAXPAX down at half the army supply of his opponent, and this push from Byun is a lot scarier than what we've seen in the past, although dropping the main base looks like it will get cleaned up once again. Every game in this series, Byun looks a little bit better. Every game in this series, Byun finds a little bit more value. He suffers a little bit less damage from the run-bys. Last game, he was in a great spot until DTs killed him. In this game, we have no Dark Templar on the way. So yes, these Warp Prism Zealots are annoying. We're going to see MAXPAX warping up a couple more. But I am very afraid of this push on the north side. But the Disruptor shot Byun! You got to be careful there. That was 6 units going down. In the exchange, now the Viking pops out on the map, which means this Warp Prism has to recall or die, and actually may die anyways, but no. One volley short of a full toolkit. And finally, we're seeing our 5th and 6th gas get taken. Dark Shrine on the way. Again, MAXPAX just trying to survive here, trying to make sure that he trades somewhat evenly. It's actually really hard to get a 4th base on this map. It's so separate from the core 3. Whether you want to take it here, which is very separate from the 3rd, or you want to take it here, which is super separate from the main and the natural. So that is, of course, one of the reasons we're going to see MAXPAX delay that just a little bit. Of course, the other one is that he is behind in this game. He's taken a lot of damage, and when you don't have the armor supply to defend 2 positions at once, you try not to set yourself up for defending 2 positions at once. At least that's the goal. But it looks like he's getting himself set up for a 4th base eventually. Unfortunately, Byun is in the proper position to delay that pretty much as soon as it drops. MAXPAX is going to have to be on top of that one. This will be a kill, not a cancel, just not enough HP in it. There we go. Byun's going to show up, and the base goes down. It's a kill, not a cancel. Just a little bit too young. Takes 2 volleys of the Terran army, and you got to be fast to go deal with that one. And unfortunately, MAXPAX dealing with other things. That is minus 500 minerals or 450 minerals down the drain. Cutting into his deficit once again. Why, hello there, blue hair critic. Please don't cough. Hope you don't have the COVID. We are now marauding around. Colossus on high ground disruptors as well. He shouldn't be able to punch into the core position of MAXPAX, but he's certainly making it difficult for MAXPAX to do once. Stalker's in the proper position, though. He's been baited in here. So we're going to see 1 medevac go down, 2nd medevac go down. It's the Stalkers. They blink backwards. A couple Zealots are going to get warped in here as we wait for the Colossus to hit the high ground. But that was not what you're looking for, Byun. Not at all. A 3rd medevac does go down. The absolute perfect trade there for MAXPAX in this game number 3. And remember what happens in the last game. MAXPAX is down. He's down. He's down. He's down. And then it's one big fell swoop. Suddenly, MAXPAX is able to claw his way back. Blink DTs, cut down reinforcements. He wins the fight at the front, and life becomes much more complicated for the Terran player. And here we have it once again. DTs in the main. They don't have blink yet. This is fine. In fact, scans are going to do a good job of killing things off, and we're going to see the Warp Prism go down as well. But still, that's going to be 2 scans for, well, actually, yeah, it's going to be 2 scans for these DTs, which is already expensive. MAXPAX posturing himself on the high ground, but can't really move in, losing a lot of supply right there, so he has to be careful. But Disruptor shot. Oh. Yeah, not quite paying attention. This is fully live, Henkada. The games are being played as we speak. It is not off of replay. Man, Byun's about to be up 4 upgrades on his opponent. He's going to be 3-3 versus 2-0. He's up 3 upgrades right now, which does mean that he is MAXPAX is extremely heavily reliant on his disruptor shots to find value. It's so hard to punch through. Again, 2 armor upgrades, attack upgrades. It means whatever fight happens has to be a burst. As we're going to see a 4th base go down once again, but the DTs, they're going to find this command center. It's not quite an orbital just yet, so Byun can just lift it. But at the very least, MAXPAX for now, he's denying the 4th base of Byun, even as he does lose his own. So 11 workers going down, not great. Losing the Nexus, not great. But if he can keep the Terran player on a similar base count to him, it's not the end of the world. It's just rather painful. Here's DTs are going to find their way in. We're going to have to see a scan get dropped, and the DTs, they do blink out. That's the benefit of blink DTs later on. You can just kind of play them at the edge of things, wait for, disruptor shots on a lot of these tanks. They're gonna get 3 tanks here. Another disruptor shot goes down. Byun looking to stem on forward. EMPs do blanket the army, but even still, the 3 Colossus, they stand strong here. Only 1 tank remains, and an excellent fight for MAXPAX. Some of his disruptors remain as well. And there we go. Stalkers, they knock the rest of the tanks down. DTs on the north side, trying to cut off some of this army. And there are enough of them that in the chaos of battle, they will be able to shred things. So yes, it is +2 versus 2-2. This is the exact same situation that we saw Byun fall to in that previous game. Vikings are going to look to run on forward, but there are not a lot of them yet. DTs, okay, looks like they're actually just going to go for some harassment here, nothing more. The 4th base of MAXPAX is going to be denied once again. I don't think MAXPAX can do anything about that. But the Vikings zoning the Colossus out, it also means that the Colossus are not going to go down. The Stalkers will be able to kill that. DTs finding their way into the command center. A couple more SCVs will go down here. And there we go again. Okay. AP is going to blanket the DTs, but they will be able to blink out once again. But Byun, this is what he's been finding value with this entire series. Drop into the main base, killing off production, doing what he can. And yeah, the EMP says, oh no, DTs, you're not the defensive force that you need to be. MAXPAX's army has to find his way in, and he will get army on the retreat. He will get medevacs. He will kill off a lot of that bio. And ever so slowly, it feels like he's clawing his way back into this game. These DTs on the north side, they found so much value over the course of this game. I think they've been alive for like the last 3 minutes off of multiple EMPs and scans. That's just resources spent for Byun. Sure, it's renewable resources, but it's still expensive in the context of a game. MAXPAX, of course, has +3 on the way as well, so he will eventually have some. Marauders, Ghosts, they're going to stim on forward, trying to knock down these Colossus, but they're not going to get it just yet. Yeah, they're going to get some gateway units, but at this point, gateway units only matter in that and how much they buffer for the Colossus and how they buffer for the disruptor. Stalkers blink on the low ground. Where are our disruptors? Do we have any left? Yes, we do. We have 6 defending the 3rd base. Of course, Byun has finally been able to establish his 4th. And with his army positioning, he's making it very difficult for MAXPAX to really push on in here. EMP again blanking that army. But these 3 Colossus have done such a good job this entire game. And in part, it really is because MAXPAX he's targeted down the Vikings with tremendous alacrity. Every time they move forward, they go down. So Byun has not really been able to go and develop the... Okay, it looks like these DTs will finally go down. Well, that is a lot of supply, a lot of value that MAXPAX has lost. But he's gained so much from them over the course of the game. That's probably not the end of the world. But again, Byun has not been able to develop the Viking count that he's needed to knock down the Colossus in one fell swoop. So if you look at these Colossus, I mean, they have 12 kills, 5 kills, 7 kills, and a lot of damage. I have no idea how much MAXPAX practices with Gumiho. Of course, with, Gumiho playing on the Korean server, MAXPAX on EU, their time zones are fairly different. Anyway, no, these drops are just not worth. Oh, man, MAXPAX is doing such a good job of not dying and just feeding away at the army. Disruptor shot's going to go off, though. And Byun, is he going to be able to knock this 3rd base down? At this point, the 3rd base doesn't even really matter. It's only got 4 mineral patches. But the Dark Shrine is all that's going to matter at the end of the day. GG Byun, he takes the game. He finds enough value. And that does mean that now we have a series. We had a series before, but it has been confirmed this time. Byun takes... Well, he takes his map pick, I believe. And hey, now it's time for a little bit of funkiness from Byun's side of things. This is just a Macarax. He's going to build a Reaper or 2 out of here, but the big goal is to say, hey, MAXPAX, I'm proxying you, be very afraid. And Glittering Ashes, it's almost impossible to check all the proxy positions, so It's a good map to do it on. Especially considering the bigger the map, the more effective the proxy in general, because the difference between the timing of something in your main base and something not in your main base is significant. But of course, again, it's just going to be the Reaper. Now, the only unfortunate thing about this series, as great as it is it doesn't really give us much insight into how Byun is going to look in Katowice. Unfortunately. Because Byun, he has to beat Percival, and then he has to beat Armani. And then maybe, if he like hits top qualifying round, he's going to have Hustler Scion, but most likely it will be Ragnarok. Which maybe is the reason that Sushi got this one set up, actually. Is like, look, Byun, you're not likely to run into a Protoss for quite a while in Katowice, which does mean that maybe, you're more likely to do this. Of course, MAXPAX would be in Katowice prep, but Byun certainly is. At least getting his TVT acumen ready. He's got to play Percival in that round of 36, and Percival's been getting personal tutoring from Maru, so that's a scary one. Reaper finds its way over now, but again, it's Glittering Ashes, so Byun should not find the value that he got in those first couple maps. A probe here, probe there, and Adept is already in position. On MAXPAX's first part, it's going to be Stargate play in this game number 4, and it makes sense. Glittering Ashes is a massive map. Massive maps mean Terran drops, and actually, in general, Byun has been winning the game with his drops. So, if you're worried about drops, you get a lot of Phoenix. You put him in the dead airspace, and you say, hey, A, if you drop, you're never escaping. But B, there's a high likelihood that I will intercept your drop before anything too significant happens, especially considering the fact that in this game, Byun has gone for Widowmine drops. I love the Widowmine in the center of the map, though, just trying to catch a stray Adept or something. Or Zealot, in this case, as the Widowmine's actually going to take some damage. Makes the eventual drop cleanup that much easier for MAXPAX as well. Zealot just barely denying the command center placement, I think. Yeah, it does deny it. So just a little bit of cheekiness. The Zealot should eventually... Well, actually, no, sorry. The Zealot is faster, so Zealot will be able to run out. Widowmine actually was tanked by an Adept, I think, and it will go down here. So nice value. MAXPAX losing one Adept, but keeping the other one alive. And the Phoenix out on the other side of the map are going to be able to knock down a lot of these Marines. Now, the downside is they wasted some lifts, which means this drop eventually, well, it may suffer. But actually, it looks like Byun, did he get a medevac at all? No, he did not. So, yeah, he's got some Widowmines. But he's got different thoughts. He says, oh, hey, Phoenix on the map. That means my Widowmine drop is most likely going to get nothing done. Best rotate. Best going for something a little bit else. Best go for a Raven push instead. And the Raven pushes are always really interesting. Or not even a Raven push, defensive Raven plays. We got a third base on the way very quickly for Byun here. So 1-1-1 third. And part of this, of course, is the map. It makes sense. You go and on a map that is as big as Glittering Ashes is where you realistically don't break your opponent for the first 15 minutes until they take 4 or 5 bases. Yeah, getting you a quick third makes a lot of sense because it's not like MAXPAX very easily breaks Byun either. Certainly not with Phoenix play. Yeah, I know Wise Elder, but Maru and Percival have been scrimming a lot together. Yeah, Maru has been personally training Percival for Katowice, regardless of whether they're on different teams or not. Yeah, that's the really interesting thing. We talk about Raven versus Phoenix play. It can work, and you get an anti-armor missile down on a bunch of charge lots or something. With a push, it can be very useful indeed. But also, the Phoenix are going to be looking to cut that. Oh, nice Widowmine positioning there. But the Phoenix are going to be looking to just chase this Raven down. There we go. Yeah, Raven's going to go down. That being said, it did cost 2 or 3 Phoenix, and it did cost 3 Phoenix in the exchange. It's going to be a 4th. So as nice as it is to knock down the Raven, that cuts down a lot of the pushing power from Byun. Byun was not really going for a push anyways. He has this third base done. Any sort of push comes later. That was 4 Phoenix that went down. That's expensive to the map control, to the Phoenix Colossus idea that MAXPAX has been going for. So it may truly have been almost a bait for MAXPAX, where MAXPAX dives on top of the Raven, but he loses a lot in exchange. And Byun says, "Aha, you've fallen in for my trap." Well, I don't play. You know, you've uncovered my trap card. As I guess everyone is playing the new kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! Online card game. Anyway, Phoenix, they're going to find some value for a while. Get some damage on a medevac, sure. Knock down a couple SCVs, sure. But there are only 4 of them. Imagine if this was 8. That would be a much scarier composition, a much scarier harassing force. But they will not be true for now. As we do wait for Colossus to hit the field, extend thermal lance. The litany of the Protoss production, as it were. Of course, Byun not really in a position to move out just yet. His combat shields are not done. His 1-1 is not done. And concussive shells are not done. And even if he does have stim, you want the full complement of stuff. Although, as I say that, he is moving out because at least he's establishing position in the center of the map. Because all of those upgrades will be done soon, and he wants to be able to hit that timing right as his upgrades do complete, especially considering, again, MAXPAX is at half the Phoenix complement that he would like to be. He has less lifts for the tanks, for the Widowmines, or less drags for the Widowmines, as that may be the case here. The 4th base for MAXPAX will not go up. But luckily for MAXPAX, he does not have his 4th base on the way just yet. And here's the big deal, though. Charge is not done, so it's just Colossus Phoenix. And while Colossi are good, they're not exactly what you want. The Widowmine drag is not going to be successful. And the army of Byun is going to lift up in the main base here. Yeah, technically Phoenix are really good anti-drop. But in this game, where there are only 3 Phoenix that remain, that's actually not going to be true. As this Sim City is doing a great job for Byun here. He can just sit behind all of it. The Zealots cannot engage. Colossus are doing what they can, but they are also stuck behind everything. So Byun, he's going to get a free Colossus. No, he's going to be forced to pick up and drop down. And the Phoenix should be able to handle this now, I think. I don't think there are quite enough Marines to scare them off, but even still, tremendous value for Byun in this game once again. He's found a way to pare the Phoenix count down to such a point where they're not really scary in drop defense, and that SimCity, again for MAXPAX, made it so hard for the Colossus to engage. It took so much longer. Oh, no, okay, there's going to be a dead Warp Prism. Or at least a deflected Warp Prism. Oh, hey, it's cats! I'm about to ask what you're doing up this early, but it is, I guess, probably, 3 a.m. your time, which is true gamer hours indeed. Anyway, the army of Byun on the map. At this point, MAXPAX's army cannot be contested straight up with what Byun has, and Zealots are going to find their way into the 3rd base as well, forcing the army of Byun back just a little bit. We got to drop the main once again. We know recall has been forced, so it's going to take MAXPAX forever and a day to clean this up. Notice pylons are the target, trying to depower things, but actually that pylon on the north side is going to be what is truly powering everything here. More and more Zealots, they do warp in, so Byun is going to be forced back in because MAXPAX does get supply blocked for now. The 1 Phoenix doing a valiant job of drop defense, but 1 Phoenix is not much of a defense make here. MAXPAX saying, okay, well, I have this mostly defended. It's good enough. And I got a really scary army. I got 4 Archons. I got 3 Colossus. I have a +1. And I don't know that you can fight me straight up. You just don't have what you need. So MAXPAX running into the natural, saying, this is fine. It's going to be okay. Even we're going to hallucinate an Archon. Just try to tank a little bit more here. And of course, the drop of MAXPAX, the drop of Byun is just not as scary as it otherwise would be. It's like 4 units, and the army of MAXPAX is a dominant one indeed as he punches his way into the natural. The Vikings, there's nothing that really gets on top of them, so eventually maybe these Colossus go down, but the question is how much damage gets done in the meantime. Archons, actually, they're going to be able to get on top of the Vikings as they do clump up here. Archon shots say, no, you don't get to do that. My Colossus will stand the test of time, at least for a while. Archon's looking to move on forward, knock down as much of the splash as possible. And there we go. Scans high ground, scans low ground. The reinforcements of Byun, they're going to knock down every single little bit of this army, but 22 workers have died. So much of the reinforcements have died as well. Is this worthwhile for MAXPAX at the end of the day? It looks like the answer is yes. He has his 4th base established now. He's up 10 workers. He's got Zealots running in. And he has Byun running ragged. This is not a planetary of the force, so Zealots will find more and more and more value What we are waiting for, of course, is Blink to really truly allow for the drop defense, allow for these Vikings to go down. But for now, this Charge Light Archon army is an indomitable one. Zealots just target firing down the planetary, trying to make sure that they can get on top of it, will be forced to lift. And while there are not enough Stalkers to... Actually, no, he targets this down. Yeah, this is going to be a dead planetary. And of course, the Zealot Warpins in the main. MAXPAX swarming in this game. Number 4, the orbital goes down. Or the command center goes down. The future planetary does go down. Byun stuck on 3 bases once again. One more workers going down. Here is the last of the Colossus joins the fray. Or the next Colossus, I guess, joins the fray. And again, there are no Vikings on the field. Byun losing his Vikings for the most part, and then committing into other things. So you need a very different composition against Charge Light Archon versus, say, a Disruptor, or versus, say, a Colossus or 2, and now MAXPAX. He's spilling on in. Zealot's getting on top of everything, and yeah, he's 2-2 versus +1, but more stuff. It also does beat less stuff. The supply values, they're starting to equalize, though. Does Byun have what he needs here? The Archons are going to go down. The Zealots as well. There's nothing to buffer for this Colossus anymore. Byun, he stems on top. The army of MAXPAX, it does fall, and MAXPAX, has he overstepped himself just a little bit here? The upgrades, they reign supreme. MAXPAX falling down in supply, but he still loses more. 11 SCVs pay the iron price once again. MAXPAX maintaining that eco lead, even as he does lose so much tech in his army. But now this is a little bit worrying. It's 3 Archons, 1 Colossus, all that remain. Byun spilling across the map. And while MAXPAX, he owns the right side, he's not really in position to defend a stim up the left. This has been a series of comebacks, folks. MAXPAX almost did it in that last game. He did succeed in game number 2. Will Byun succeed as well here? Stalkers will blink forward, though. Medevac goes down, and it's so hard to push up the ramp into 3 Archons, into the Colossus. But again, upgrades, they're a great equalizer here. Army supply is a great equalizer. And while the Colossus are good against Liberators, there's not a lot that knocks the Liberators down. It's only 4 Stalkers here. There we go. Byun stimming on forward. Liberators sieging up on Chop, trying to do what they can, but the Colossus side blades, they scythe on through. GG MAXPAX. He takes a 3-1 lead. And in the upper left, looking to dash my dreams, dash my hopes. Precise Storm Gaming up 3-1. It's MAXPAX. In the bottom right, in the blue, he's down 1. But honestly, could have won pretty much every game in this series. He is for the Shopify Rebellion, Byun. Hello there, Edwict. Sorry you missed the first 4 games. Honestly, a bunch of bangers. That Curious Minds game in particular. What a game. MAXPAX holding and holding and holding and holding. Eventually, he died. But his ability to hold off for that long and almost make it look like a comeback would happen was very impressive, as now we got a proxy barracks coming down from Byun. Again, just proxy Reaper play. Shenanigans, as it were. As the SCV unfortunately does get trapped. So the Reaper is going to be 1 second late. That means the game is not going to find any value. Game's over. GG. MAXPAX 4-1. And yeah, Scrappy. Elijah Woodcast, 100%. It's funny, when I was younger, I used to get a lot of Tobey Maguire as well. Whether you agree with that one or not, I don't know. But I'm almost surprised to not get more Tobey Maguire jokes, just considering all the Spider-Man stuff that's out recently. But anyway, so it goes. Reaper's going to find its way into the main base now, as the barracks makes its slow, ponderous trek back home. Zealot is going to get popped out because MAXPAX is aware that, yeah, when there's no barracks at home, the barracks is abroad, you got to be careful. But pro players have also very much learned to just ignore the Zealot. So, of course, the goal of the Zealot is to eat shots until the Stalker pops out, or until the Adept pops out. There we go. The Adept will find its way into the main base now, but Byun's going to get 4 workers with this Reaper. No, he says, I want to maintain my health. I want to run away, and he will be successful in doing so. So 3 probes go down. A 4th one gets very low. And the Reaper gets out to scout to live another day. Meanwhile, the barracks is still not home because Pride of Altaris is a long map. Is a long map indeed. And Reaper will be forced back. Okay. But it also does keep the Adept at home. So, you know, Reaper doesn't find its way in just yet, but it does prevent the Adept from doing anything annoying, which granted it won't be able to anyways because everything is on the high ground. But still, good scout for Byun to figure out where that Adept is. What is MAXPAX going for this game, though? That's the question. It looks like it's going to be Twilight Robo. So like a 2, well, we're going to have to see how many gateways he gets. But a Blink Expand of some sort coming down from MAXPAX here. He hasn't taken critical damage. Losing 3 probes is annoying, but it's not going to force him to do something really weird. And actually, no, okay, yeah, I said Blink Opener, but no, with the Robo going down this early, it will be a Dark Shrine. And this is something that we saw Zest do a lot of back in early 2020. The attempt is going to deny the command center dropping for quite a while. And Byun, notice he did not get his orbital. He put a significant premium on making sure he was able to mine from the natural ASAP. And with it, wait, is he? Okay, yeah, he's just going to drop next to it. Says, I need to get this orbital down. That's fine. But still, cheeky little moves here from MAXPAX. As we got a drop in the main base. Byun looking to hit with some multitasking early. So a little bit, a bare modicum of defense. A Zealot, a Stalker, and an Adept walk into a bar. Widowmine say, hey, bud, how's it going? Widowmine shot's going to go off. 7 workers go down. Reaper, though, okay, not going to find its way into the main base just yet. But 2 Widowmines survive. That is massive here. It means Byun can do it all over again. And does he scout the Dark? Oh, he gets the Dark Shrine as well. Everything coming up roses for Byun in this game. Number 5. That is the number. I can count. MAXPAX quick on the SCV pull or on the probe pull, but not quick on not clumping them. So that the final Widowmine getting 5 workers really made it worthwhile for Byun. But we're gonna have to see whether MAXPAX can do the exchange. We have 1 scan in the main, 1 scan in the natural, and the Widowmine drop. Oh, yep, there we go. That's actually that is the nail in the coffin right there. Unless these DTs are going to be able to do tremendous things. 1 scan has been forced. We still have 1 scan in the natural. Of course, missile turrets coming down here, and DT will be forced out. One of them will survive. Oh, actually, last second DT does not find his way out, but we have no scans now. And the missile turret, well, doesn't matter because there's a Raven out now. MAXPAX not finding the value he's looking for at home. Definitely not finding the value abroad. Looks like we're going to move into Archon drops now with the double DT play, but that's just a free DT. Yeah, GG. MAXPAX saying, look, I want to go next. I lost, what, 18 workers. My Dark Templar tech is not getting anything done. The really interesting thing, though, we're seeing in this series is the evolution of openers from Byun. And that he opened with that Marauder play 3 times in a row until he finally found value with one of them on Curious Minds, where finally MAXPAX did the MAXPAX build. And I guess that's kind of what Byun was fishing for, as he won the old standoff where both players kind of go for different ideas, and eventually Byun says, look, look, MAXPAX, I know you're going to go for the MAXPAX build. That much is defined. That much is known. So I'm going to go for this Marauder build that does hard counter the MAXPAX build. Until you go for it, I'm going to kill the MAXPAX build. Although that game did go late and MAXPAX did almost come back. And then I'm not going to do it again because I know you're not likely to do the MAXPAX build in this series where I've kind of proven that I'm very willing to hard counter it. Which is an interesting approach. I don't know if that's quite the mentality, but that is a mentality certainly that Byun can be looking for. And now on 2000 Atmospheres, a bigger map, probably the most standard map we have in the pool, is 3 Rex play against a blink opening, which means there's less game ending potential here from Byun. But something that we see the Terran players do more and more as this build becomes more common, becomes more figured out, we see Terran players, they get active on the map with their 20 some odd Marines, couple Marauders, stim combat shields, all that. They run across the map with it. They look to find some value, and then when they realize the value is not available to them, they run home. They don't draw. They don't really force a stim, and they just keep building up their forces, and then they go for a 3-1-1. Yeah, the medevacs are a little bit slower. It hits 30 seconds later, but they're still getting their third base at a somewhat decent time for the 3-1-1 build. They have a lot more bio and just a little bit less tech, which is still absolutely doable, especially if you're a player like Byun, who does go for this multitasking. But MAXPAX, he seems rather interested in getting aggressive in this game number 3, or at the very least, putting on more pressure, even if it's not an all-in. It's going to be three gate play with Blink, and the big tell, of course, that this is going to be something more than just a little bit of stalkers across the map, which is really the default now, is, well, the fact that we have a Warp Prism on the way. So MAXPAX, he's going to run across the map with a bunch of stalkers, with his 3 gateways, warp into the main maybe, and look to contain a Byun a little bit more. But Byun moving out right now, he may find these stalkers on the high ground, and with stim done, combat shields done, this is not exactly a favorable trade for MAXPAX, but on the flip side, it's not exactly the thing that Byun is looking for either. So he's going to look to stim into the natural, target fire down as many stalkers as he can, knock down the army, and the shield battery's not yet done, which means the stalkers, they're blinking backward. They're doing what they can. Byun hits a little bit too early. So much of the army of MAXPAX goes down, and now in exchange he says, okay, well, army's not big enough to kill stalkers anymore. Let's get a couple workers. 3 go down. Shield battery overcharge has been popped, but now the stalkers, it's their turn to be aggressive on the map here. Byun's army has been spent. It's all worn out. Wrung out like a sheet of wet cloth. And let's see whether MAXPAX can do something with this opportunity that has been presented to him, as Byun did commit rather heavily there. And I'm sorry, this is a 4 gate. I thought I saw 3 gates in production, but 4 gates for MAXPAX now. So we see more and more Marauders being produced, of course, but no tanks. Nothing like that. There's only 1 bunker here, and the SCV pull is not quick enough, so many of these stalkers, they're not going to go down for a while, even as they do get low. The blink is good. The double blink is good. SCVs have to get pulled. But again, Byun stims forward. The traditional hold, the traditional inflection point where Blink Stalker is no longer as good, a Blink Stalker all-in no longer as powerful as it once was, is when stim was done. And medevacs to really complete that. Well, medevacs are on the way now. It's going to provide so much healing to this army as the Stalkers are looking to run on forward. MAXPAX, though, with an army supply lead, this may be one of those situations where more stuff, it just beats less stuff. As unfortunately MAXPAX Byun killing one of his own Marauders as well. MAXPAX looking to aggress in once again. Now, of course, we have medevacs. It adds so much power, so much sustain to this army. But these Zealots, they're just looking to tank as much bio shots as they can. Of course, MAXPAX, he's going to run backwards every time the Zealots die, but every time the Zealots die, a couple more SCVs go down, a couple more Marauders go down. It looks like MAXPAX, for now, he's content to back up. Take his 3rd base, get charged, get Archons, wait for the next level of his aggression, because he's found value. He has knocked down so much of the army of Byun, forcing him to take that 3rd base without getting any damage on the other side of the map, losing some SCVs as well. And when charge is done, when these Archons are done, well, it's going to be a powerful army indeed. And so Byun looks for the release valve. He looks for a way to take the pressure from MAXPAX back home, but oh no, it's going to get scouted here. MAXPAX is going to be able to blink on top of it. 1 medevac goes down, 2nd medevac goes low. So much of the bio of Byun's lost here, so much of the drop potential of Byun lost here, and now he owned the map before, but now he really owns the map. Byun is going to have to turtle his way out of this for quite a while. He's got a 3 army supply lead, but that is nothing in the grand scheme of things. And Storm is on the way. Storm getting very close to completion. And with Charge getting done, Storm getting done, we're going to see a large swell of units. Now, we're not going to see too many High Templars, too many Archons, because this is only 4 gas. It's not 6, which generally, when we see like mass Storm play, it's going to be on those 6 gas, just because High Templars are expensive, 150 gas each. But certainly MAXPAX does have an opening now as his gateways do complete, as he adds a metric ton of pylons for the warp in is the way to discuss that. And actually, yeah, Byun realizes the problem that he's in. He's got missile turrets out in front to make sure that he does not lose to storm drops. He's got tanks here, and we're going to see bunkers all over the place. He understands that MAXPAX wants to try to end this game before things go too late. We've had some long, epic comebacks in this series. But if MAXPAX can just end him right now, possibility of a comeback is not really there. On the flip side, if Byun can hold here with these tanks, with these bunkers, with these missile turrets, it's going to be a difficult push indeed. And this is a hard position to push into, but MAXPAX, he's going to go for it anyway. He's trying to take this flanking position on the side. The missile turret goes down, which means the storms will be able to go in unfettered. The first one doesn't really land, but the second one, it gets a lot better. The tanks on the low ground are going to go down, but the tanks on the high ground raining hellfire from above. I'm not sure how much it matters, though, as the Stalkers blink on forward. The Liberators go down, but it looks like Byun, he has the flank just a little bit. The tanks, they're finding so much value here on the high ground. The third base has not yet been broken. The Zealots, they find their way in, but they're not doing too much. And there we go. The Bulldog of the Zealots on the high ground, knocking down these thorny tanks in the side of MAXPAX. But there's enough here. SCVs get pulled, of course. 17 workers go down. Byun, he holds. And that was not cost-effective for MAXPAX. Chat says Protoss, but I am not convinced. Byun, he's only down 10 workers, which is somewhat sustainable right now. Those tanks on the high ground, really MVPs of that fight for Byun in the extreme. My goodness. The fact that he was not able to knock those down, they got 10 volleys off. 10, 11 volleys off. Now the army supplies have equalized. If we look at that last fight, I mean, that was Apparently, despite that, MAXPAX did kill more, which didn't really feel like it, but apparently that's the case. Anyways, the army of Byun's going to stim on in. A medevac will go down to Stalkers. They're looking for value. Not going to get a second, though, in these tanks. Again, on the high ground, MVP tanks. Not letting too much happen here to the Stalkers. They're going to get a couple SCVs, but it's fine. That base was oversaturated anyways. The big deal, of course, now is Byun has, well, he does not have enhanced shockwaves. He does have EMPs, and that makes the Zealots far less effective. It makes the Storms potentially far less effective, and it certainly makes the Archons significantly less effective. So, of course, MAXPAX, realizing the status of this game, and as one traditionally does anyways, he's moving into double Colossus behind this. We're going to see 2 to 4 Colossus, depending on how he is feeling. He has been really going for 4 Colossus in a large portion of these games into disruptor play. And as we have seen, Byun has a solid tendency, a bad tendency, whatever you want to say, because sometimes it works for him, sometimes it doesn't, of overcommitting to kill disruptors. Of course, with the EMPs, it becomes a lot easier to knock those disruptors down, but we'll see him commit onto disruptors until the last second, then lose his entire army. Or, you know, he'll get the disruptors and he'll win the game, but it's he seems to fly a little bit too close to the sun compared to most Terrans. Drop a Byun on the right side. We'll knock down some detection, kill a couple probes, and Byun, though, he's bought himself time. He's bought himself room on the map here to get drops into the main base once he's, I guess, confident that MAXPAX is not doing too much. So notice he scans the fourth, looking for where the army is. The army is on the map, as Byun did scout, but he's looking for the defenses at home. That's what we're looking for. Of course, we got a drop on the right side as well. So the moment that MAXPAX looks to take the engagement, the moment that MAXPAX is distracted, that's when Byun is going to look to pull the trigger and push in, but actually it looks like, oh, never mind, that's not a drop, that's a single Marine. My apologies, folks. They're little blue dots on the map. Show MVP tanks kill score. 9 kills, only 3 actually, so not a lot of kills, just tons of damage. 12 total kills across the 2 tanks. I wish there was a way you could see how much damage had been done as well. That would be very nice. That being said, as much as we talk about how decent this is for Byun now, about how well he's come back, you know, he's got his 4th base under the way, the one thing that he is missing his upgrades are very late. So as this army of MAXPAX pushes in, it's upgrade parity. The army of Byun is not here. The MVP tanks, they're going to go down now. Unfortunately, the only prize of being the MVP is just dying later on, but we get a drop in the main base as well. And the Colossus are going to start to go down. Stalkers, they blink forward to try to knock down, but this concave from Byun is a thing of beauty. The Storms, though, they're going to drop down. Can Byun take this fight? The Colossus, they're still staying alive. The Stalkers knocking down the rest of the Vikings. One Colossus does remain. The concave from MAXPAX is a thing of beauty, but he has lost so much on the other side of the map. The third base of Byun is going to get broken. So much of economy is going to go down. The Dark Shrine goes down as well. No defensive DTs for the Korean Terran player. And the missile turret will not knock the Colossus down. MAXPAX now spilling into the natural here. The army of Byun doing what it can to survive. The Colossus actually has to hit the army, please, not the supply depot. There we go. The EMPs should be enough to keep Byun from dying. He's not a dyer, but he's certainly not a liver either. 29 SCVs go down. Third base gets broken. MAXPAX did lose a lot of his tech. And again, Byun does have mules. He does have 3 orbitals, but I mean, we can look at the economic lead here. Mules don't quite make up for 20 SCV deficit. They cut into it, but 20 worker deficit is still a lot. That was really a beautiful fight from both sides there. Really nice concaves, force fields cutting things up, storms working in tandem with the force fields to soften up so much of Byun's army, but Byun still with that big concave, lifting the command center to make sure that he has that much more space to concave against the army. Well, it worked out well for him, and now it worked out as well as could be expected, and now 2-2 is done. And actually, I believe one of the MVP tanks, was that one of them? Okay, no, it's a new one. He built more tanks. And I guess that was an F2, so the Warp Prism will go down. I'm not sure how I feel about the inclusion of Liberators here. Yeah, it's excellent space denial. Between the tanks and the Liberators, that is a killing field that is so difficult for MAXPAX to push into. But on the flip side, his opponent is not going into Disruptors. It's 3 or 4 Colossus, and Colossus, they share range with the Liberators, so it becomes difficult. And of course, Liberators, they also don't target Colossus unless you manually target them. They go after the Archons and the Stalkers. So it means that Colossus, they can fight for most of the fight. So yeah, it's great your Liberators are alive, but if you lose the rest of your bio army, does it really matter? MAXPAX once again active on the map here, nursing that eco lead. We see it briefly spike in Byun's favor. And actually, it's not even going to show on the resources map here, but we've seen it briefly spike in minerals in Byun's favor as he drops all of his mules at once, but that is a temporary thing as we see command centers going down all over the place. The game goes late. Do we have any storms with this army? It looks like we got 3 or 4. The Warp Prism. Oh, that's going to be a juicy one. But with the tanks here, it looks like MAXPAX, he's going to wait for another shot, maybe, before this attack happens in earnest. And I love the double Warp Prism play. So we got 1 Warp Prism with the army. We got 1 Warp Prism going to go in the main. Stalkers blink forward, try to deal with as many Vikings as possible before the fight kicks off in earnest. And with as many Marauders in the army as there are, 21 Marauders, these 4 Immortals are going to do so much here. And of course, the Warp Prism is forced Byun's army back. He's forced to return home. And that was a interesting storm there, MAXPAX. Like a zoning storm. We'll call it a zoning storm. That's fine. But it does mean that MAXPAX was kind of able to find this inside path. I'm somewhat surprised he didn't try to dominate the high ground, but maybe not feeling that he had quite what he needed. But Disruptors are starting to hit the field. And most importantly, the Dark Shrine is done. DT Blink is about halfway done here. MAXPAX has been able to rebuild the last of his tech. He's got 5 bases. He's on 75 workers. But this is a Terran that's on even base count. This is a Terran that has maxed out. And while he has an inferior economy, that's only going to be for ever so long because he's building so many orbitals. It's going to get to that point where he only needs about, say, 55, 60 workers for gas income, things like that. But we do have MAXPAX finding his way on in now. Vikings are taking the fight, but they're just not a lot of them just yet, even with +1. So the Colossus, they're staying alive for now. Disruptor shot is not going to go out. But the Colossus, they do stay alive here. MAXPAX, he's got to be careful against the flank from Byun as he comes in from the left and the right, but Storms again. Going to be beautiful on the north side, but the Colossus are going down. So much blast is going down. Byun with the surround, with the collapse here. MAXPAX, he's overstepped. All of the tech of MAXPAX going down once again. And from a game where MAXPAX was miles and miles and miles ahead, Byun has his comeback ready. So many Stalkers warp in, but Stalkers against +2/+2 bio with EMPs. I'm not sure that that is the play. They're blinking backwards, blinking for your lives. Blink for your life, Byun, because you're going to need it here. The Stalkers, they do land, or the Vikings, they land, but the Stalkers are going to be forced off this 5th base. Even with the shield battery overcharged, it will not be enough. The 5th base of MAXPAX goes down. The army supply massively in favor of our Terran player now. He's on 5 bases. His +3 armor is on the way. Eventually, +3 attacks is going to get started as well. And he has now taken a dominant position in this game number 6. Remember, folks, if Protoss takes the fight, we spam Protoss in chat. If Terran takes the fight, we spam Terran in chat. That is how it works. I don't make the rules. Nice. We got an interesting flank coming here from MAXPAX as well. And he does have 3 disruptors. And Byun, we're going to have to see whether he falls for the disruptor shooting a shot bait, because that is the most powerful one. Looks like he's not going to do so, but now he's going to get a bunch of disruptors on the left side. Zealots, they swarm on in, but Byun still has that upgrade lead. Disruptor shot, though, it's going to get him Marauder. Not going to be enough. And now Byun, what is a man to do when feels like maybe it's getting a little too hot outside the 5th base? You boost into the main. 3 Stalkers, they're going to get 1 medevac, but actually, oh yeah, a bunch of DTs are going to blink in, though. This drop is actually not going to be doomed to failure because EMPs get dropped, and EMPs, the master of all ills, will be able to knock down a lot of this. So the army gets out, not too many medevacs go down. That gives Byun license to drop onto things. GG, folks. Byun, he makes this back happen. He takes game number 6. And we're all tied up. I am somewhat surprised that we have not seen a single proxy void ray in this series. Now, of course, it's not something that defines MAXPAX in the same way that it has defined Zests in series or Parting in series, but it's still a powerful tech choice. And if you lull Byun into a false sense of security, maybe it's going to work out for you. Especially, oh wait, actually, I'm sorry. We need to talk about something for a second, because what Byun is doing here, I think... Now, he may just drop the 3rd barracks, and it may not matter. Okay, he's going to drop the 3rd barracks. Never mind. I got really excited because Byun does this build occasionally on big maps, where he actually goes 2 barracks into a 220, 230 3rd command center. Really early 3rd. It gets it gets combat shields. It has no marauders with the push, but it runs across the map with a couple less Marines, looks to find value. And behind that, it's a 3rd command center that's done before 5 minutes. It's a crazy build. I don't often see it lose, but there's a reason that we see it very rarely. If it truly enters the meta, the Protoss is going to be able to punish that one hardcore. Yeah, we're going to have to see. I mean, I believe MAXPAX turns 18 this next year, so maybe he's going to have a little more freedom then. I don't know. I would love to see him offline. I mean, MAXPAX is so good. He knocked down Solar 3-1 in EPT NA on Monday in a great series. And, I mean, now look at what he's doing here. He would have won this best of 5 already if it was a best of 5. Yeah, I'm very sad that we lose him from IEM, but so it goes. It does mean that all the drama between Showtime and Lambo about who makes the round of 24 or not is totally invalid, which is kind of funny. Okay, the Phoenix, they're going to find their way in. Now, the big thing is they've scouted what's happening. Phoenix play, of course, against Stimmed, but against the 3-Rax play, not great. Not great at all. Because you just have a lot of Marines, and the Phoenix they cannot lift through the DPS, and you don't have enough lifts anyways, so we're going to have to see shield batteries come down. Byun, well, he's getting ready to move out of the map. Stim is just about done. Combat shields as well is going to time out rather nicely for the push. The goal of the Phoenix now is to knock off stragglers, to find marauders, to find marines that are cut off from the main pack, kill them before the push happens in earnest, but Byun doing a great job of keeping this army together will not allow that to happen. So 3 adepts are on the high ground. Shield battery on the way, but not done yet with this immortal as well. Looks like Byun is going to content himself with a denial on the third base, but no, MAXPAX doesn't even want to allow him to do that. Or we'll see the pylon go down at the very least. Stim has not yet been committed. Byun, of course, being extremely judicious with this. Any stim is less 10% of the army, or 20% of the army. But there we go. We should have the stim happen now. We're going to see the Phoenix run in, try to do what they can. But there are 5 adepts here. They kill the Marines fairly easily, but even still, the army, it stims in. The Immortal's going to go down. The Phoenix, they're going to go down to the end of things, and they're just not enough lifts. The third base, well, that's the end prize, but everything else is going to go down before then. This is why Phoenix play has kind of fallen out of the meta, actually. Third base is going to go down as well. There was a period of time where every single game was a Terran player going Widowmine drop or Hellion drop or something like that. Something that Stargate play was very, very good at. But as Byun has kind of forced this 3 racks idea into the meta more and more, I mean, we just saw how hard Phoenix play was punished. You lifts against this are just not gonna, oh, it's gonna be another dead stalker. Immortal, well, its heart and shield will keep it alive. But even still, not great trades. And it looks like at this point, the Marines are gonna look to run home. But Byun now nursing a 23 army supply lead, over double what his opponent has. Medivacs starting to hit the field, +1's gonna be here soon. Another Phoenix will not go down, but will take damage. And I don't really know that 5 Phoenix, 1 Immortal, 1 Stalker is going to be enough to stop the massive amounts of bio that are going to start flooding across the map here. Oh, it was great drama, and it drove viewership to me, and I enjoyed casting it. But it drove viewership to all of us. But, you know, anyways, so the Phoenix will be able to knock down 1 medevac, but not before everything unloads. So what this means as well, yeah, sure, things can't retreat. It doesn't matter. Byun, I'm not sure that he wants to retreat. He's going to win the fight at the front. He's going to win the fight behind. GG, Byun, for the first time in this series, he takes the lead. Interestingly enough, we see minimal shenanigans in this game. We do have Byun again going for the Marauder build that we saw him do for the first 3 maps of this series. But again, now that we're back on Berlingrad, it makes sense. He did this on Berlingrad once. He's going to do it again. And behind it, there's, of course, additional barracks. So this build that Gumiho really started to popularize when he came back from the military, we saw it be somewhat binary in its success. But it has been much more streamlined now into a build that is much more standard. It really allows you to get into this interesting... It's really just a different way of getting your way into a 3-1-1 timing. Or in this case, with the additional... Yeah, okay, it's going to be a recall force, so this adept doesn't go down, but still. Recall used, that's energy on the Nexus that is not for Chronos. It's not a recall usable later. And Byun now running across the map. And again, this is 3 racks play. Stim is on the way as it stands. Eventually, yes, there will be a factory go down. But the interesting thing about this build is, again, it gets you into that 7:30 timing. Almost as if you were doing it anyways. You don't have tanks anymore. You have less tech, but you do have a significant amount of bio. And concussive shells can be somewhat useful. We got ourselves a reader here. Yeah, exactly. How dare I? Although, actually, regardless of how you feel about, you know, enjoying reading or not, and I do enjoy a book, you know, as it goes. Escaping from the world I live in into another one. It also makes me a better caster, I find. It just makes words come to my mind better. Is the Adept's actually going to get 2 SCVs here before going down? That is unexpected, but nice moves here from MAXPAX. It gives us a little bit of hope that he's going to take us to a game number 3. He does have Stalkers on the map, but again, this is 2-gate expand. Third base already on the way. We should see a Robo go down behind this as well. MAXPAX trying to play a standard mixed standards this game. Why are you reading a book? Because I enjoy it. I just finished Oathbringer, book 3 in the Stormlight Archive. And Sanderson, his last like 200 pages is just impossible to put down. And I didn't realize I was getting that close to the end. Otherwise, I wouldn't have read last night. Oops. Yes, them folks that read them books, what are the letters? We only like numbers in StarCraft. Like 4 and 3 and 9. That's all that matters. Actually, interesting. MAXPAX, instead of going for Colossus tech, I kind of... When you go for 2-gate expand, for the most part, it does tend to be into Colossus to hold. MAXPAX, we're having to rehash the start of this series where he did go up 3-1. Additional gateways on the way, charts on the way. He's only going to be on 3 gas. And that means he's going to have a lot of minerals for zealots. He's not going to need quite as many probes to support that zealot count because you're only on 3 gas. You only need 9 probes mining gas, not 18. And as we know, Byun is going for this 3-1-1 build. The Marauder build is always that. Well, all MAXPAX has to do is build a lot of zealots, build some immortals, because this army will have maybe more Marauders than it normally would, and wait for Byun to push, sweep him from the map, and take us into game number... I just about said game number 5. Game number 9. Yeah, I am... Hey, look, it's no regret. He says Protoss. Well, I will have you know that Terran's up 4-3, so Terran. Yeah, Miracle. Because I have some time now, I'm reading Stormlight, and I just got caught up with Rothfuss, with Kingkiller, so it's a good time. I'm waiting for the the Wheel of Time books to come out of long-term storage at my library, which is being remodeled. Anyways, we got an army here from Byun stimming across, well, not stimming yet, but running across the map here. And MAXPAX, he doesn't quite have the supply cap open to himself just yet. We're going to see some Zealots warped in now. Stark's forced backwards. The force fields are going to be fantastic, though, but the hot pickup will keep them alive for now. Byun setting up his concave. A lot of the force fields have now been spent. But that supply lead from Byun, it's not quite as good anymore. Stalkers, though, they're going to take this fight, and one of them will go down in the exchange. It feels like Byun in this game, he's just slightly ahead of where MAXPAX wants to be. We don't have the Warp Prism across the map just yet. Stim hit just a little bit too soon. And all of this does mean now that Byun, he does have pole position in this game, in this fight. But Starkers, they're going to find their south side. The Zealots on the north side. So Byun will struggle to push through this. Push through the rocks. He will struggle to find his way into the third base. But the Widowmines are here now. Really going to make it so difficult for the Zealots to find their way into the Widowmine shots. Actually not going to be all that bad. One zealot each time. Nice splits here from MAXPAX. And again, the Warp Prism is not finding what it needs. The pressure from Byun is too significant. But even still, it looks like it's going to be forced back because there are just too many Zealots. And even if they don't have upgrades, they charge in. They're tanky boys. And Byun, he will be forced back even as he does maintain the supply lead. MAXPAX, he stays alive. He maintains his base. And that means he's allowed to go further in. But look at what Byun's doing. He is going to commit to this pressure even more so than he might normally do. We have Liberators on the field. And Liberators against Charge Lot, Immortal, they do fairly well. Immortals, Charge Lots, they don't shoot up on this drop in the main base in the natural of Byun. Not going to be as effective as it might otherwise be. Marines are there. Widowmines are in position. Although 8 Zealots in the main base is a very different story. So the Widowmines are going to burrow. Byun's going to try to stay alive as well as he can. The last Zealot remaining alive here as well. Now, Vikings are on the field, which does mean that this Warp Prism's time is limited. And only 6 SCVs go down for 12 Zealots and a Warp Prism. Or I guess 8. It's Byun Protoss power. I don't think so, Freestyle Fakiri. You may be thinking of the other great Mormon author, Orson Scott Card. No regret. When do you... You're moving back out to Korea soon, right? Or have you already done that? I'm excited for the Foreigner House to open up again. Okay, so the Army of Byun... Okay. Well, welcome back to Korea, I guess. The Army of Byun now running across the map. You're going to get a couple Stalkers. And we're still lacking tech from MAXPAX. He's down supply. He doesn't have a lot of Zealots in this army. But again, not a lot of tech. There's a couple Zealots are going to find their way into the third base. Not actually a lot of protection here for now. The rally of Byun is in the main base, defending that position. So it's going to take a little bit of time. A couple SCVs will go down as Byun rotates around to the north side. Oh, okay. So you've been there for a little bit of time. Hope you're jet lagged by now. Anyway, we're going to have the bio stimming in. And a couple of mortals here are not going to be enough to keep things alive. The Colossus, that's the big deal. It's going to get target fire down. Widowmines are going to get 7 probes as well on the transfer. And yeah, Byun's going to back up. He has found his truth. He has found his value. And that should be enough. The rally finding its way in. 25 army supply lead for Byun. He's got an upgrade lead. At +2 only just now getting started for MAXPAX. And while 4 Immortals exist, Immortals are only so good against what Byun has. Where is the... I guess the Liberators died at some point. The fourth base of MAXPAX is dead. There's no saving that one. And actually, MAXPAX looks like he wants to take the fight anyways, but it's a high ground Terran. As a commentator in Dota likes to talk about, don't go up the high ground with no vision. And while high ground is more powerful in Dota than it is in StarCraft, the rule still stands. Don't push into positions where you don't know where your opponent is. It's difficult. That's why creep is so powerful. Anyway, we're going to have the bio stim forward here. MAXPAX is doing a great job of staying alive, even as he does suffer from inferior economy, inferior upgrades, and inferior army supply. But he's doing a great job of making it so that Byun cannot do the finishing blow. Another way to say this is Byun doing a great job of just chipping and chipping and chipping away at the Protoss until there's nothing left. But Colossus are on the field now, and with the force fields here, it is somewhat difficult for Byun to engage in the army. He doesn't have enough Vikings just yet. Ghosts are only just now starting to hit the field. Exactly, it's over, MAXPAX. I have the high ground. Well, we're going to have to see. Second Colossus is going to hit the field now. Extent Thermal Lance is finally finishing up. So this time where Byun could just kind of stim on top. Oh, he's going to... That's a 5-drop here. These 4 Stalkers are not going to be enough. So Byun taking advantage of his army supply lead, finds his way into the main base. Stalkers looking to defend. The question, though, can they defend 2 positions at once here? Vikings are knocking down the Colossus. Colossus going down outside of the third base. Colossus is going to get stimmed upon in the main base as well. Byun, he's fighting 2 fights at once. He is winning. Well, he's winning one of the fights. Fairly cost-effective trades, but he pushes his way into the third base. GG, Byun here. 8-7 in 8 games. He takes the game. He takes the series 5-3 from a 3-1 deficit. And Byun folks, ladies, Byun folks is going to be your champion. There we go. Of Alpha X Special Series, I think is what we called it. Number 50. Sponsored, of course, by the wonderful StarSync.